Good morning, beloveds. Okay. Happy time change. I actually did go to bed early, a little early, just because I knew it was the time change and I wasn't prepared to deal with this. It's also International Pie Day. So, yeah, if you want to go eat pies, go ahead, but it's the mathematical pie, 3.14. So, there are probably going to be a whole lot of math jokes on Facebook today, which is great. I'm all for it. I love math jokes. And it is March 14th, as I just said. Our title is Immutability of the Law. There is a power to which all things are possible. This power or law of mind is right where we are, and we use it with every thought we think. To come into the greater possibility of good that is open to each of us, we must use it constructively. This is what we do in giving a spiritual mind treatment, which we call practicing the science of mind. Taking our inspiration from God's Spirit dwelling within us, we cause the law to operate for us at this level of consciousness. When Jesus said that we should seek the kingdom of heaven first and everything else would be added, he was telling us that when our consciousness lifts itself above confusion and enters into the peace of spirit, then our word spoken from this center is acted upon immutably, producing the desired effect. We are not making the prayer work or using spiritual mind treatment to force things to happen any more than we would be compelling a reflection of our likeness to be cast from a mirror when we stand in front of it. Such reflection is automatic. It is certain to look exactly like the image. In just such a manner, our thought reflects into a creative medium that returns its image. Believing in the immutable law of mind and knowing that I am not coercing, I do now completely abandon myself to the realization that I am one with the living spirit, one with the central good, one with the everlasting God. I am steadfast in my affection. I am steadfast in my affirmation, letting nothing limit or obstruct its reflection in my experience. There is nothing in me that need compel my word to operate, nor is there anything in me that can hinder its operation. Standing still, operating from the divine center of my own consciousness, I announce the truth, and the truth makes me free. And our Bible quote is, "Open thine eyes that I may behold the wondrous things out of thy law." And that is Psalm 119:18. All right. Ernest just kind of went for the jugular today, didn't he? All right. In the immutability of the law. I don't even know what to do with that title. The immutability of the law. He's already spent a fair amount of time talking about the qualities of God. He spent a fair amount of time now. Granted, I've started over in the book. He's talked about the nature of God and how important it is that we work in the nature of God. I was about to say you can't force an orchid to grow in the snow. And yet you can if you have a hothouse. But that means constructing a framework and creating an environment which is conducive to growing an orchid in the snow. And that is kind of what he's going at today. It's like, if you want something, then the conditions have to be right. Meaning your conditions have to be right. You have to work within the nature of. So if you want to grow an orchid in the winter, in the snow, you can't just go out and plant it in the ground. You got to build that hothouse. You got to control the temperature. You got to have the right pot. And that's kind of what science of mind is. It's a hothouse for growing orchids in the snow. It's a heck of a metaphor. There is a power to which all things are possible. This power or law of mind, and he uses capital P, capital L, capital M, is right where we are, and we use it with every thought we think. And that is true. And we use it to the degree of consciousness. Every little thought is, to a small degree, constructive. But the more conscious thoughts are more constructive. And the other ones that are very constructive and not necessarily in a constructive way are the thoughts wrapped in emotion. And that is one of the reasons why it's super important to be aware of our emotional content. When we start, I'm going to use the word spewing words with a whole lot of emotion behind them, what words are we spewing? Because those, if prayer is thought wrapped in feeling, those words have a lot of power. And the universe doesn't judge. The law does not judge. And that's the immutability. That's probably what he means by the immutability of the law. The law does not judge. The law does not stop and think, hey, are you sure you really want this? It doesn't sound so good. The law goes, oh, there's a lot of emotion around that. That's what they want. Which is why Ernest is constantly beating the drumbeat of consciousness. The more conscious we are about what we say, the more conscious we are about what we do, the more conscious we are about aligning with the nature of, the more successful we are going to be. And the less conscious we are, the more we're going to look around and go, what in the world is going on? To come into the greater possibility of good that is open to each of us, we must use it constructively. This is what we do in giving a spiritual mind treatment. We build a framework, a specific framework. We build a hothouse, which we call practicing the science of mind. Taking our inspiration from God's Spirit dwelling within us, we cause the law to operate for us at this level of consciousness, which really does call on us to be much more conscious of what we do and say. And if you go back and look at your time look over your lifetime and see where were you the most successful. And it's generally those places where we were more conscious. There is that state of grace though, because there are times when we are completely unconscious and it's worked out. And sometimes that's because the people around us were consciously holding us. So never, never, never doubt the value of holding another person in consciousness while they are struggling. Because sometimes that's what gets us through. When Jesus said that we should seek the kingdom of heaven first and everything else would be added, he was telling us that when our consciousness lifts itself above confusion and enters the peace of spirit, then our word, spoken from this center, is acted upon immutably, producing the desired effect. That is one long sentence. So why should we seek the kingdom of heaven? What is the kingdom of heaven? Everybody's going to have a different interpretation. I'm not even going to go there. But what I am going to tell you is that the kingdom of heaven is the consciousness of the nature of God. It is the consciousness of the qualities of God. And it is the conscious application of those qualities and that nature to ourselves and to the work that we do. And again, I'm going to list a few of them, meaning harmony, peace, joy, happiness, creativity, all of that. So that is the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is not stuff. It is a consciousness. It is a way of walking through the world. And that kingdom of heaven frequently does bring us into I just missed the word. I'm going to use the word connection, although that's not the one I want. It brings us into connection with people who are not living in the kingdom of heaven, so that we can extend our hand and bring them into the kingdom of heaven. Do we have to pull them? No. Do we just simply have to be who we are authentically and walk our talk, and then they see. One of the biggest things about Science of Mind is we are not what is the word? We're not missionaries. We don't go and preach. We don't try and convert people. We live our lives. We are living examples of our teaching. And people see it and go, what do you know that I don't know? And how can I learn that? So we live in the kingdom of heaven and we are conscious of it. And we demonstrate it every day. At least that's the ideal. Everybody has an off day. Okay. And all else will be added. He is telling us that our consciousness lifts ourselves above the confusion, meaning we see the truth, with a capital T, behind the reality with the lowercase r. We see the uppercase R behind the lowercase r. The uppercase T behind. We see the truth behind the conditions. We enter into the peace of spirit. Then our word spoken from this center, meaning when we are speaking from that place where nothing has ever been wrong, that place where we meet the unfiltered God, when we speak from the kingdom of heaven. Our words spoken from this center are acted upon immutably, producing the desired effect. Spirit has no choice the law has no choice, because the law doesn't have a choice. The truth is the law doesn't have a choice. What we ask for is what we are going to get. It does behoove us to be careful about what we ask for. And we don't even have to say it that way. We don't have to be careful about what we ask for. We want to be conscious of what we ask for. And we want to be conscious that we are asking for in the nature of, following the qualities of spirit. We are not making the prayer work nor using spiritual mind treatment to force things to happen any more than we would be compelling a reflection of our likeness to be cast from a mirror when we stand in front of it. What we get is what we are. Which is one of the reasons why every day I encourage you to go look in the mirror and see God looking back at you. Because I want you to recognize that you are a child of God. And in recognizing that you are a child of God, your world around you will begin to reflect that. And as your world around you reflects that, because you believe that, then your world gets better. And all of the people that you touch, their world gets a little bit better. And that's the goal. That's the goal. It's like, when I'm good, then the way I interact with people is good. And then their world is better. There's a metaphor about kicking a dog, which is a terrible thing. Please, it's like when somebody's having a bad day, and they come in and try and kick your dog, it's because somebody's already kicked their dog. Well, you don't want to kick their dog. You want to be kind and polite and compassionate. And then when they walk away from you, having interacted with you as a kind, polite, compassionate child of God, then they're not out looking for the next person's dog to kick. Because I can't say that their dog's been unkicked, but, they haven't had another interaction that's made them feel bad. And that's being an island of peace. When people walk away from you feeling better than when they walked in. Such a reflection is automatic. It is certain to look exactly like the image. What's in your mind? What's in your head? In just such a manner, our thought reflects into a creative medium that returns its image. Look into that mirror and see that child of God looking back at you. That's the secret. Believing in the immutable law of mind and knowing that I am not coercing, it is not my power, it is not my willpower, I am not forcing anything. I don't have to stand here and grit my teeth and hold my fists tight and hold my body tight. I don't have to. That is why the last step of treatment is release. Release. Because I'm not the one making it happen. Yes, it is happening through me. Yes, it is happening for me. But I'm not making it. I am letting go and letting spirit. I do now completely abandon myself to the realization that I am one with the living spirit, one with the eternal good, one with the everlasting God. I am steadfast in my affirmation, letting nothing limit or obstruct its reflection in my experience. So that means that initially when I don't see the results, then I go back and do the affirmation again. Sometimes it happens immediately and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. And when it takes a little bit of time, I have to be willing to stand steadfast in my affirmation. I have to be willing to have faith. I have to be willing to believe. And sometimes it means going back and doing the treatment. But we're not doing the same treatment again. We're treating the treatment. It's like we're taking it one step further. We're not uprooting the plant. There is nothing in me that need compel my word to operate, nor is there anything in me that can hinder its operation. There's nothing I need to do other than believe, and there's nothing in me that can get in the way. And sometimes when we do treatments, that's what we need to say after we've done the treatment. It's like, nope. If you want to go back and redo that treatment, resist that temptation. But say this instead. There's nothing in me that need compel my word to operate. I have faith. And there is nothing in me that can hinder its operation. Because it is in the hands of God. Or it is in the law. Standing still, operating from the divine center of my own consciousness, I announce the truth, and the truth makes me free. Operating from the divine center of our own consciousness. When we come from the kingdom of heaven, when we come from the place of God, we're speaking our truth. And that is freedom. And the psalm bears that out. Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold the wondrous things out of thy law. From Psalm 119. It is up to us to see the kingdom of God all around us, and to recognize and to consciously use the law, and to recognize where we have been unconsciously using the law and to do better. All right. That is today. And yeah. It's like Ernest went for the jugular today. He did. And I appreciate it when he does. I appreciate it when he makes me work for it. I appreciate it when he makes me think about it. Because sometimes I think I've got him pegged down and then he goes, oh, what about this? So, all right, beloveds. As always, I do encourage you to do something to loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. Every day. Every day. Because you are a beloved child of God. And I want you to be able to look in the mirror and see that child of God looking back at you. To know that that child is beloved by Spirit. Always. And that there's nothing that we can do to change that. Because that's the state of grace that we live in. So practice that loving, kind compassion on yourself. Because the more you do it, the more you will have for the people that walk into your life. The people who walk into your life who have had their dog kicked. So that they walk away from you having had a good experience. So that they carry that away into their next interaction. Because the greatest gift that we can give to the world is kindness between each other. Even when they're not kind to us, we are kind to them. Because sometimes, probably most of the time, it takes an edge off of them. And that's how we make a world that works for everyone. That's how we make a better world. Kindness in the face of not. Now, that being said, do not set yourself up for abuse. If you've got somebody that every time you interact with them, they are not kind, do a loving and kind thing for both of you. Don't put yourself in that place. Because that is also, you don't have to go interact with unkind people just to try and take their edges off it. That's not your job. Your job is to be you, authentically you, to be a loving child of God, or as Reverend Jesse likes to say, a godling. It's not to fix people. But as you brush up against them in your everyday life, your kindness can take their edge off just by authentically being you. So don't go out and try and fix people. Not your job. All right, beloveds, the only person you get to fix, the only person you have responsibility for is you, the person you are looking at in that reflection that you talked about today. So, it might storm here a little bit, which, depending on the weather, may be a great time to open your windows and let some fresh air in. But it is always a great time to open the windows of your soul and allow the breath of heaven to remind you that you do live in heaven now. So, do something to engage your mind and your body today. Drink some water. And remember that you are loved. Always. So, right here on Facebook Live at 11, we will have a fantastic service for you. I looked at the title, don't remember what it is. I'll go throw it up on Instagram and Facebook in just a minute. And Reverend David will be on with you around 5 p.m. on Facebook Live. I'll be back at 9 a.m. And please do remember, I am archiving these on the Running Rev YouTube. It's the Running Rev Ryan YouTube. Go to YouTube, look for the Running Rev Ryan, subscribe. I'm getting good at downloading every day up in the evening, so it's pretty concurrent. I'm just missing 2 months. I just need to get around to downloading them, hunting them up on Facebook, so you don't have to. They're organized into month playlists, and they are done by title. So, that's my commercial. Do what you need to do to make it a wonderful day, beloveds. All right?